The stage is open for entry. Today, the Chicago Bears are in pursuit of that last playoff spot. The time is now, but Chicago will be severely tested as one of the league's top rushing attacks awaits. For the Philadelphia Eagles, an NFC East title may still be on the horizon. The focus today is in the Windy City as Christmas falls upon us. Historic Soldier Field in Chicago as the Philadelphia Eagles come to town to face the Chicago Bears. The Eagles, beginning back in 1939 when they made their first trip to Chicago, have never won a game in Chicago. At Wrigley Field, Soldier Field, any field in the Windy City. I'm Pat Summerall with John Madden. Now the Bears need a victory today to keep alive their playoff hopes. The Eagles will host a playoff game, but they could also win the NFC East. So a lot of things at stake for both these two teams. John, how do they plan to go about achieving their goals?
You know, that's the fun thing about this. You know, when you get to the last game of the season, you're talking about teams have to win, and and who goes on and who goes home, and that's really what it's all about. And I think we talk about what it's all about today. It has to be the running game. You take the Eagles. We know about Ricky Watters. Now, the Eagles are getting Charlie Garner back today. They took the pins out of his thumb this week, so they're going to play a formation that they call Rocket, where they play Charlie Garner and Ricky Watters both in the backfield. But I'll tell you one thing. I think if the Eagles are going to be a playoff team, they have to be able to throw the ball to the outside because that's where the Bears are weak. You know, you talk to Dave Wanstead, and if he worries about anything, it's his secondary and specifically those two corners. I think the Bears also have to be able to run the ball, but I'll tell you, this is a great day for football. Great hitting weather out there.
And so coming up next on Fox, it's the Philadelphia Eagles and the Chicago Bears from Soldier Field. And John and I'll be back for the opening kickoff when Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages from your local station. Playoff passion high at Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears and the Eagles. Ray Rhodes, the head man of the Eagles. Many think he should be the coach of the year. You talk about intensity. There's Dave Wanstead on the other side. The Bears need a win to keep their hopes alive. The Eagles are in, but they have a lot at stake. Nate Lewis, outside the 30 to about the 32, returns the Eagle kickoff. Let's look at that Eric Kramer-led Chicago offense. They can be potent and have been. The front line's done a good job. Heck, Perry, Fontenot, Lewinberg, and the big cat, James Williams. Salam, Mike Falkerson will open at fullback. Jeff Graham and Curtis Conway, the wideouts. Keith Jennings, the tight end. Eric Kramer has taken every snap this year. They join Salam, reverse coming. They've got it pretty well set. Kramer out in front, throws a block. Curtis Conway gets outside the 40, close to a first down yardage. Let's look at the Eagle defense. Mike Mamula, Ronnie Dixon, Andy Harmon, and William Fuller up front. Thomas Govea and Romanowski, the linebackers in the secondary, the rookie Bobby Taylor and Mark McMillan. The corners, Jackson and Zordich, are the two safeties. Second and about a foot. Reversed by Conway. Got 9+, a block by Kramer. This is Rashaan Salam. He gets the first down outside the 45, about the 47.
You know, one thing about Rashaan Salam, we were talking to him last night, that he's really starting to feel more comfortable now. You know, he came in here, he won the Heisman Trophy, was disappointed where he was drafted, and came in and kind of struggled early. He said he really didn't understand a lot of things, but now he understands it, and he feels comfortable with everything they're doing.
Well, he was forced into action, much more action than the Bears actually had wanted early. Salah. Fumble. And the Eagles drop on it, I believe.
I think that's Andy Harmon on the back, but that one official right there, Pat, that official, the umpire saying the ball was down.
Go say,
they're going to say this isn't a fumble. When that guy starts that signal, he's saying that the ball was down before, or the whistle blew before it was recovered.
Kurt Govea made the recovery for the Eagles, but they are saying, like you said, that Salam was down.
That was the thing Dave Wanstead was worried about Salam and his fumbling. He said one thing he wanted him to do, he said sometimes he just lets go of the ball when he's down. He wants him to get up and hand it to the official.
This is just a habit. Not fumbling, but leaving the ball on the ground after he's tackled. That
ball was ripped out of there.
Zordich.
Inadvertent whistle. First down, Chicago.
Oh, the Bears got a break there. Michael Zordich pulled that ball out of there. But what they're saying is that they blew the whistle. Now, if they blow the whistle, the ball is dead no matter what happened. Michael Zordich got in there, grabs that ball, strips it from Rashawn right there, and then takes it out of there. That should have been the Eagles' ball, but one of the officials blew the whistle. And anytime the whistle blows, that's it. The play is over.
First down, Bears. Kramer back to throw it. Going deep. Conway intended. Incomplete.
That's not a bad deal there. You know, they feel, well, we just dodged a bullet here. We just got a big break. It shouldn't have been our ball anyway, so let's try and throw a deep one to Curtis Conway.
The Eagles have sort of gotten into a pattern in recent weeks of falling behind early and then having the mountain to climb to get back in the game. They've won the last 2 weeks, 20-17 over Dallas, 21-20 last week over Arizona, 2nd and 10.
That was the thing Ray Rhodes was saying. He said the biggest thing we have to do today is get out of the chute.
Kramer dips to Salah. Still on his feet, still running inside the 20. The ball loose again. When he hit the ground, the ball came out. And Mark McMillan came up with it, gets out of bounds, and the Eagles will have this recovery.
Yeah, I think it was stripped again, Pat. This is going to be their ball. Salam has done an excellent job of running the ball, but he just had the ball stripped out of him. The first time was Zordich. I think the second time, I think it's going to be Mark McMillan.
22-yard gain before.
Yeah, good blocking up front, good lead, good moves here. Watch, he has the ball. Now watch McMillan, number 29. He did. He went in there, stripped it out. The ball bounced right to him. So he got a strip and a recovery, Mark McMillan.
You know, that's something that teams practice now every day. Stripping the ball.
Yeah, and the offenses have to start practicing a little more seriously against it.
They really do.
In fact, there are guys that will give them money. You know, if you get it out of there, there are running backs in the league will give the defensive back money if he can do it.
Rodney Peete chased and down. He fumbled. And it looks like the Bears might have it. Mark Carrier came up with it. Rodney Peete never saw it coming.
Yeah, we talk about intensity, and you talk about offense and defense and running the ball and passing, but the thing will always be the big thing that determines games is turnovers or lack of turnovers.
Peete back to throw. Good protection for a while. Spellman comes around the corner and takes him down, causes the fumble. Carrier comes up with it.
That was a good pass rush over there by Spellman. He was on Antone Davis. He went right around Davis. Rodney Peete was rolling out a little to his left side, just getting ready to throw the ball when Spellman got there. Now, Spellman on that one, he didn't try and strip it. He just went for the tackle.
Just a sack. It's 1st and 10 Bears at the Philadelphia 15. Salah hit by Andy Harmon after a couple. There's a guy that a lot of people thought should be in the Pro Bowl, including himself.
Yeah, and all his teammates and coaches and everyone. They say if anyone has played well and been outstanding on this Eagle defense, one of the leaders has been Andy Harmon.
Overachiever, many say.
Of course, he and William Fuller, who play right next to him, as a pair, lead all of football in sacks.
2 tight ends for the Bears. Kramer lobs it outside into the end zone to Keith Jennings. Touchdown, but there's a flag on the play. Early, the flag was thrown.
Oh, there's a spike. When you're as big as Keith Jennings, you weigh 270 pounds, you can spike that thing.
Defense, number 59. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
The touchdown stands, and Eric Kramer just tied a Bears single-season record of 28 touchdown passes, held by Sid Luckman.
Yep, now you're talking Bear football. The guy that jumped off sides up on top there was Mike Mamula. But Keith Jennings was wide open, and when you weigh 270 pounds, there's no little defensive back that's going to stop you from getting in.
Butler's extra point is good, and the Bears lead 7-0. A very eventful first trip down the field.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. By Coors Light, grab a silver bullet and let the mountain come to you. Coors Light, tap the Rockies. And by Digital Equipment Corporation, digital, whatever it takes.
The windy city of Chicago. Today's temperature at game time around 30 degrees. But with the wind chill, it feels like it's 10 degrees. And for this time of the year in Chicago, that's not bad. Sauerbrun's kick against the wind, handled by Derek Witherspoon. His kickoff return got him back in the game last week against Arizona. Myron Baker made the stop. The 28 touchdown passes ties the team record, which is held by Sid Luckman, set in 1943.
Yeah, we always talk about play pass, but watch William Thomas here. See, he's affected by this play pass here because the Bears have been able to run, and that lets Keith Jennings get to the outside. You see, they were doubling the outside receivers. Thomas takes a little bite on that play fake, and that lets Keith Jennings get out there.
Eagle ball, 1st and 10 at their own 27. Rodney Peete gives to Charlie Garner. They start with the rocket formation. Here's the Philadelphia offensive setup. Rodney Peete, of course, the quarterback. In front, Brooks, McIntyre, McKenzie, Harry Boatswain, and Antone Davis. Ricky Waters, Charlie Garner, the two Rockets. The running backs, Fred Barnett, Rob Carpenter starting at wide receiver, and Ed West is the tight end, 2nd 7. Peete back to throw. Incomplete, intended for Fred Barnett. And here's the Bear defense. They have said, they're on record as saying they need a dominant player on defense. Simpson, Zorich, Flanagan, and Alonzo Spellman, undersized up front in the defensive line. Smith, Kane, and Cox, the linebackers, and the secondary, Lincoln and Minifield, the corners. Carrier and Carter, two fine safety men.
And if there's any one area back there, it's that Jeremy Lincoln, but they've really been having trouble on this right corner down here in the bottom.
3 wide receivers. Peete back to throw. Rush, and down he goes. Flanagan, that's his 11th sack of the year. And right now, let's send you back to Hollywood for a McDonald's game break in JB.
That's not the way the 49ers drew it up, but take a look at Steve Young's swing pass to Adam Walker heading for the score, but fumbles and alert. Jerry Rice recovers for the San Francisco touchdown on top 7-0 over Atlanta. Back to Pat and John.
Soldier Field. The Eagles Hutton punch line drive kick just gets out of there, but goes over Jeff Graham's head. Fooled him. And the Eagles down at the Bear 24. The Bears lead 7-0. For this time of year, as I said a minute ago, this is not bad in Chicago. The wind you would expect. 19 miles an hour.
I was just going to say, I think that that wind, and you take that 19-mile-an-hour wind, and then somewhere you put it in there with that degrees, and then you get less degrees than that thing shows.
Right. That's called wind chill.
Now you're talking hitting weather.
Kramer, incomplete. Intended for Jeff Graham. Bears are looking for a flag, which did not appear.
Yeah, it seems like every time there's a throw down the field now, everyone wants a flag. And I think that's one of the things they have to straighten out in the offseason. You know, what is pass interference and what isn't pass interference? Because, to be honest with you, the players don't know. I don't feel the officials, all the officials are consistent on it. The fans don't have any idea.
Well, if you could just get some consistency, that's the key thing. Kramer gives to Salam. Stopped by Zordich. 7-0 Bears. There's their head coach, Dave Wanstead, in his 3rd season. Record of 25-24. He was with the Cowboys when they won their Super Bowls, and then came here. And he's done a whale of a job here. 3rd down, 3 wide receivers for the Bears, 3 on the same side. Kramer zeroed in that direction, and that's Jeff Graham. Good throw from Kramer. And a good catch by Graham. Jackson and Zordich converge.
Yeah, I think there's a guy, Jeff Graham, that has been a big addition to this Bear football team. If you say who's the MVP or the offensive MVP, I know you have to say Eric Kramer. You know, he just set a record, just broke Sid Luckman's record and all that. But this Jeff Graham is really a heck of a player. And he's going to be a free agent. He may not be a Bear next year, but I think they ought to do everything they can to keep this guy.
Big Scott Adams is the tight end on the right side, normally a tackle. Number 72. Flags on the play. Salam right side.
I think when Big Scott Adams comes in there as a tight end on 1st down, you could probably say it's going to be a running play and hope that he doesn't jump offside.
Defense, number 51. 5-yard penalty.
William Thomas.
That's the way to get the 1st down. Here's William Thomas right up there. You're going to see him. See, he gets into that neutral zone. Again, the neutral zone being the length of the football. But again, I think when they put a tackle in on 1st down as the 2nd tight end, you can say, well, it's not short yardage, it's not goal line, but it probably is going to be a run.
And he's probably not going to go deep.
He's not going to go anywhere off the line of scrimmage.
1st and 5. Salam. Line of scrimmage. And the divots fly. This field is really chewed up.
Yeah, and you really have to have good footing down there, because I was talking to a lot of the players yesterday, and I was asking about the field, if they like to play on grass. And every time you'd say grass, they'd laugh.
Sort of look at you, the blank.
They'd say, there's no grass down there. Kevin Butler was saying he was out here and he had one of those holders, you know, those things that hold the ball.
Yeah.
And he said he threw it down on the ground. He was here Thursday, and he said it clanked.
2nd down. Salam. About a yard.
I tell you, Salam didn't run that one in there.
No, he didn't. I think it's because he lost the ball.
Well, you know what happens is sometimes that takes the aggressiveness away from your running, because, you know, you're not balanced well, and you become so conscious of holding on to the ball that then you can't run. I mean, you're just running and you don't have balance, you don't stride out or anything, and he looks like he was more worried about holding on to that ball and not fumbling or being stripped than he was making yards on that play.
3rd down. They need about 3 or 4. Kramer back to throw it. That'll be enough for the 1st to Jeff Graham. With that last carry by Rashan Salam, I should say. It's the first time in Bear history with 2 1,000-yard wide receivers and a 1,000-yard rusher. Last time it happened was Harlan Hill and Rick Caceres.
Yeah, I remember both of those guys.
Sure,
Rick Caceres was a tough fullback, and Harlan Hill was when we're Florence State in Alabama. He was from some real small school.
Right. Kramer firing deep, got a man open. Incomplete, no flag. Now, there's one that could have been called.
Well, again, every time you throw one up, it could be. You know, because if the defensive back is going to be in good position, he's going to be awfully close to the receiver. And you see it out here. You see him just running there, and then he just stops there, and then he goes by him. That's a little kind of hook and go, and there's going to be some contact as the ball gets there.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think they have to let that go or they can't play.
Graham slipped.
Yeah, the ball hit Bobby Taylor, who was covered. I think it hit Bobby Taylor right in the foot.
Here is the high step by Salam for a couple of yards. The Bears leading 7-0.
One thing about Salam is he's the youngest player in the league, and he really didn't have a lot of carries in college and even in high school. You go all the way back to high school, he played 8-man football.
Yeah.
So he comes in as a young, fresh running back. You know, and I think that's very important. Ray Rhodes was talking about that last night, that was one of the things that he really liked about Salam, that he wasn't a beaten-up running back.
Fresh legs. He hadn't been hit that much. Here's Kramer back to throw it. Has some time. Got a man open. Graham out of bounds. At about the 27. First down, Chicago.
You know, Dave Wanstadt was saying yesterday, and it's so true, that Eric Kramer throws as tight a spiral as he's ever seen. And he said, when a quarterback throws a tight spiral, and this is true, the weather doesn't affect him like it does some of those quarterbacks that throw fluttering passes. But he knows who to look to, too, doesn't he? I mean, he's looking for Jeff Graham every time he needs a play here today.
That's not a bad place to look. 4 out of 7. The one touchdown pass to Jennings. Eagle blitz coming. Salam to the 26.
You know what the Eagles are doing? They're putting Mark McMillan. He's flip-flopping. He's going on Curtis Conway, you know, who's the smaller, fast receiver. And then they're putting the rookie Bobby Taylor is flip-flopping, and he's playing on Jeff Graham. So I don't know. I mean, I think that the Bears are going to go to Jeff Graham anyway, and it just so happens that Bobby Taylor is going to be there.
2nd and 8, the 10th play of this drive. Salam has just set another new Bear record. Tell you about that in a second. Graham had it there and lost it. Romanowski had a chance for a pick on the rebound, and he lost it. Salam has just set a new Bear rookie season rushing record with 1,005 yards. It was held by Beatty Feathers and set back in 1934.
Yeah, but how many, when in 1934, then, how many games did Beatty Feathers play to gain 1,000 yards? Because
13.
He played 13?
Right.
Well, you knew that. I was going to say maybe like 10 or 12 games. But they played 13-game seasons at 34.
I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was thinking about that, and I looked it up. Carter, the ball carrier.
I was kind of surprised there that they run the ball. You would think that with the way Kramer was throwing the ball, he was throwing the ball pretty well, because even that last one, Graham just dropped the ball. It's surprising that they just ran a give-up type play on 3rd down.
Kevin Butler will try from 40 yards with Chris Getney holding against the wind. Far enough, but wide right. Sometimes when you go against the wind, you try to overpower it, and that doesn't work. The Bears lead by 7. Back at Soldier Field, Chicago. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Some of the other scores, the 49ers 14-3 against Atlanta in the first.
Of course, everyone's interested in that game here because they know if the Bears win today and the 49ers win, the Bears are in the playoffs.
Here's Ricky Waters. Takes it outside and picks up about 4. Ron Cox made the stop.
You know, Rodney Peete, it's interesting here. He's the Eagles quarterback, of course. then his dad, Willie Pete, is the running backs coach of the Chicago Bears. So here you got Willie Pete right up here. He's coaching the Bears. And then down here, now here is Rodney Pete's wife, Holly. Here is Rodney Pete's mother, Edna. Here is Rodney Pete's brother, Willie. So you got the whole thing. You got a player, a coach, a mother, a father, and a brother. And you wonder who they're rooting for.
A lot of repeats. The first down pass from Rodney Pete to Rob Carpenter.
Here they are, Pat, before the game. That's Rodney Pete and his dad, Willie. And they didn't talk all week. You know, usually during the season, they talk like every day, you know, about how things are going. But when they play against each other, then they don't talk that week. But I'll tell you who it's toughest on. I mean, Willie Pete's working, Rodney Pete's working. You know, Holly is kind of new to the thing. It's toughest on the mother.
Always. That's Ricky Waters. Surges up close to midfield to about the 48. 2:19 left to play in the first quarter. The Bears 7, the Eagles nothing.
And the other thing is when you're Holly Robinson and you're just kind of married, and again she's on that show Hanging with Mr. Cooper, huh?
Yeah.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Yeah. But anyway.
What do you mean kind of married? You either are or you're not.
No, just kind of, no, they're newly married. They got married this just past off season.
Reggie Johnson got open. Rodney Pete hit him inside the 20.
And I was just going to say that he'd been sacked 2 times already, but now he comes and he hits Reggie Johnson down there. And the thing that they figure about Reggie Johnson is he's the pass receiving tight end on this Eagle team. And Ray Rhodes was saying that as a tight end, he's like a wide receiver. I mean, he has that kind of speed. And if they're going to pass the ball to a tight end, it's going to be him. It's not going to be Ed West who gets it.
They go with 2 tight ends here. Ricky Waters hit behind the line of scrimmage and stopped after about a yard. Let's send you back to Hollywood for an update. James Brown.
Pat and John, Bears fans are cheering this. Take a look on the reverse. What can't Jerry Rice do? Bobbles it, tosses a perfect 41-yard strike to J.J. Stokes. Stokes, 5 catches, 105 yards already, 14 threes. San Fran. Back to Pat and John.
You're right. What is it that Jerry Rice can't do?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that one. You know, I know that he can catch and he can run and he can block. He's a heck of a blocker, but who would have thought he'd be throwing it? Next thing you know, he'll be kicking it.
And a perfect pass it was. Knocked away. Intended for Fred Barnett. Knocked down by Minifield. He started to come on, Kevin Minifield.
Yeah, he had a couple interceptions last week. You're going to see him man-to-man out there, and he starts to the inside, then he makes a move to the outside. Watch, he's just waiting for that ball, times it perfectly, and puts that left hand up there.
Oh, that's the way you draw it if you can.
That is great coverage. Dave Wannstedt was saying the thing that he likes about Minifield is he's a playmaker. I think that was what he was talking about.
He can make some things happen. 3 wide receivers for the Eagles. And here's Rodney Pete back to throw it. Barnett makes the catch at about the 8.
I think if they're going with the wind, I think that they would want to get another play in this quarter and throw it into the end zone.
I don't know if they'll make it or not.
They're not going to take a timeout. It's one of those things. There is a wind down there, but it's probably, in their mind, not worth taking a timeout for.
So at the end of 1, the Bears lead the Eagles 7-0.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
Soldier Field in Chicago, 1st and goal at the 8 for Philadelphia to tie it up. That's Charlie Garner, and he quickly ties it up. From 8 yards away, he explodes into the end zone.
Yeah, you think of Charlie Garner, 5'9", 185 pounds. You think, well, he'd be a quick guy. He'd be an outside guy. But he is a tough guy, an explosive guy, and a heck of an inside runner. I mean, he's the only back in the backfield. He is going to hit that hole, make that move there, and then cut back and just run through a tackler.
He is quick. He's been out with a broken thumb. Anderson will try the extra point with Tommy Hutton, the punter, holding.
He's emotional, too, isn't he? I like that. I like Charlie Garner.
The extra point's good, and we have a tie at Soldier Field. 7-7.
Look at that block there by Guy McIntyre. He's the guy who started the hole.
Last September, Fox and the producers of The X-Files took you into the 21st century and launched a new breed of action-adventure television. Catch a special 2-hour presentation of TV's most heart-stopping drama, Space Above and Beyond. Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on Fox. 7-7 tie in Chicago. The Eagles and the Bears. Playoff hopes for the Bears and hopes for the Eagles as well of winning the NFC East. This is Nate Lewis.
From the 20-yard line.
Yeah, if you look after Charlie Garner scored that touchdown, Pat, he went over and he gave the ball to his running back coach, Dick Jamieson, whose wife passed away this past Thursday morning. And he's been going through a heck of a week and a heck of a time. And
the whole Eagle family has.
Yeah, and everyone, and he wanted to be here. And Ray Rhodes says, just take some time, be with. And he said, no, this is where he wants to be today.
Kramer with good protection throws it away. Doesn't matter if the protection was good or not. You're going to throw it away.
Well, now, and that's probably why he did throw it away. Bobby Taylor was right there. We talked about how Bobby Taylor is guarding Jeff Graham today, and Kramer's been trying to work the ball to Graham or against Taylor, but that time Bobby Taylor was up there tight on him. Kramer again tried to throw it to him and saw that he couldn't do it, so he just threw it away.
Bobby Taylor's a big rookie who did such a good job a couple of weeks ago. This is Salam. Not much there. Romanowski up to make the stop.
Yeah, well, we were talking to Ray Rhodes last night. He says that Bobby Taylor has to step up again today. In fact, he said both his corners, Mark McMillan and Bobby Taylor, because they don't want to double cover these receivers all day. They want to have a safety that they can put up in the box to help stop this Chicago Bear run. So if they're going to do that, then these corners have to play a lot of man-to-man.
3rd and 8, 3 wide receivers. Long count. Graham. Conway, beg your pardon. 1st down. Good throw.
It's a heck of a throw. It's just going to be an out. Now Bobby Taylor is on Conway this time. Conway has the speed. He's the deep guy. They're always worrying about that. But he made a full speed outcut on that one. That is tough to cover because a lot of guys have to come under control and darn near slow up, so much that you can read it. Conway made that outcut going full speed.
And that doesn't look that difficult, but to maintain that full speed, as you pointed out, is something that not a lot of people can do.
Especially on a field like this.
Kramer. Incomplete. Conway was the intended receiver. Right now from McDonald's game break back to Hollywood and James Brown.
Pat, John, you talk about a full speed outcut. Take a look at this play. George off of the back foot. Great haul in by Eric Metcalf. Nice snatch. That tightens it up in Atlanta. 14-10 49ers. Back to Chicago. Pat and John.
Tie score here at 7 in the opening minutes of quarter number 2. Bears scored first. 2nd and 10 at the 49. Kramer has it batted backwards by Fuller.
Yeah, this is a guy, the two guys that when we were talking to Ray Rhodes that he was worried about, and one of it is right here, Fuller, where he just gets a push right here. Now, if you can't get all the way back to the quarterback, you get as far as you can on your pass rush. He's going against Big Cat Williams there. He goes right by him, then he just knocks the ball out of his hand. If you can't get to the quarterback, then the next thing you try and do is get your hand up. And he was awfully close to getting to Kramer before he got his hand up.
3rd and 10. 4 wide receivers this time for the Bears. Flags all over the place as the Eagles jumped early.
If there's anything that upsets a coach is that, you have him
6 on the defense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
You have him in great position. You have everything you want. You just knocked the ball down. Your guy just beat Big Cat Williams, and here you do the next play. You jump off sides and give him a 3rd and 5.
I think it was Mark Gunn who jumped 3rd and 5. They've drawn the opponents off sides 28 times.
And Gunn is the guy that shouldn't be drawn off. I mean, he was an inside guy who was lined up right next to the ball. All you have to do is watch the ball.
Reverse coming. Michael Timpson. And Timpson dives. And the dive got him the first.
Well, Dave Wanstead, is taking a page out of Jimmy Johnson's book. When you play a big game, you have to have some momentum breakers. You have to have some big plays. That's the second time he's run a reverse today. But as you said, watch, Timpson really didn't have this first down till right at the end. He doesn't have it now, but right there as he dives and puts that ball out there in his left hand, he has it.
They're inside the Eagle 40 at about the 37-yard line. 1st and 10. Pitch back to Salah. And he is knocked backwards, staying on his feet. Cuts back, and what a run this is for a first down. William Thomas finally made the stop, but this is some run.
I know. Watch Kurt Gouveia, number 54, is going to come up, and he's going to hit Salam right there. Boom! And he just turns him and sends him the other direction, but he didn't wrap him. Salam had good balance, kept his feet going, and that's what a good running back does. They never stop their feet.
That's a pretty strong run. That gives you an indication of the kind of fresh legs he has.
And I'll tell you, there's one upset guy, number 54, because he knew he had him zeroed in, and he just didn't wrap.
Straight ahead is Salam. Got about 4, maybe 5. That concern about fumbling. And remember, Salam had a couple early. One that was called, one that wasn't. That, as John Madden was pointing out, that really can affect your running style, your aggressiveness, make you less effective.
And I think it did him, but I think he's coming back now. I think it happened early in the game. They stripped him twice. I think he lost a little confidence, but I think he has it back now.
Yes, he does. And he got the first down, I believe.
You see what Dave Wanstead is doing. In fact, he said Marty Schottenheimer at Kansas City does it. He has his running back hold the ball when he's finished running and hand it to the official. So that there's no question about it.
He said Marcus Allen brought it with him and taught Marty, and Marty's been teaching it ever since.
Yeah, because you don't want one of those things where, the play is over. I just dropped the ball down there. You want to hold on to it, and hand it to the guy in the striped shirt.
2 tight ends. Getney and Jennings. Kramer. Incomplete, intended for Getney. He had it and lost it.
Kramer can't believe it. He's thrown a couple there that have been dropped. Getney dropped that one. Earlier, Jeff Graham had dropped one. I wonder what the idea that, Eric Kramer has with wearing just one glove on his left hand.
I don't know.
Well, I remember when Jim McMahon was the quarterback of the Bears, he wore, in cold weather, he wore gloves on both hands. In fact, threw a better spiral with gloves than he did without the glove.
But that was Jim McMahon.
Jim McMahon.
Salah inside the 10.
I'm sure that Kramer has some reason.
Sure he does.
Well, you want to keep that left hand, warm all the time, and then maybe the glove hand will keep the right hand warm. I don't know. I mean, he got that thing where he can stick the hand in there.
Only one hand goes in the warmer, the right hand.
Yeah, then you don't. Maybe if you wear a glove on the left hand, you don't have to worry about sticking it in the warmer.
Well, I'm sure you're right. There's some mysterious reason.
Well, quarterbacks are a little like kickers in that, they have reasons for everything they do.
Two tight ends. The fake is to Salas. The pass is in the end zone. Incomplete. Graham signaled touchdown. So did Conway. But neither one of them had it.
That was a heck of a throw, though, by Eric Kramer. He started to roll to his right. You're going to see him come out here, and then he's going to bootleg, you see here. Then he's looking back, and he throws the ball in there to Curtis Conway. I don't know. You can't see it there, whether the ball hit the ground or not.
Yeah, I did. Underneath Conway. Butler from 27 yards away this time with the wind at his back. And Butler this time is good. And the Bears recaptured the lead 10-7 in the second quarter. 9:55 before halftime.
I don't know.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealer, creating a higher standard. By Intel, the world's leading maker of microprocessors. And by Visa, official card of the NFL.
'Tis the season to be jolly. You bought all your presents, John?
No.
No?
I wait until after the game.
Well, you haven't got a heck of a lot of time.
Wait, I know it. Well, the reindeer are coming. They've left. We've heard. We got a report with on the Doppler radar that the reindeer have been seen leaving the North Pole. They're on their way down.
I got a report that you were in the bus, in the Madden Cruiser. We're going to race the reindeer from here to New York.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We'll be out there tonight, too.
Maybe they'll drop some presents out so you can.
Anything that flies slowly, we'll race. We took that blimp the other day.
I heard.
Yeah, they were nothing. Although they were tough till we got to Tyler, Texas. Then we got them after that.
Witherspoon, flags come from everywhere. In all seriousness, both of us wish you a very happy holiday season. Gary Lane, the referee.
Illegal block in the back. Number 80 on the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
You talk about for this time of the year, it's not cold in Chicago. It's still cold.
Very.
So you better watch out, and you better not cry, and you better not pout.
Santa.
I'm a telling.
At Soldier Field, Chicago, the Bears, with a win and an Atlanta loss or tie, they'll be in the playoffs. They lead 10-7. And the 49ers are beating Atlanta at the moment 21-10. Rodney Pete back to throw. Open is Brett Barnett. Joe Kane the stop, and let's now send you again back to Hollywood for a game break. James Brown.
Hey, Pat, another record by Jerry Rice. This one, a 59-yard reception. It breaks the single-season receiving mark held for 34 years by Charlie Hennigan. That set up a Derek Lavelle 2-yard touchdown run. San Fran ahead. Back to Pat and John.
2nd and 4 at their own 19 for the Eagles. They're down by a field goal. That's Ricky Waters. Takes it outside. Out of bounds at the 20 by Jeremy Lincoln.
One thing about Ricky Waters, he's a highly emotional guy that gets frustrated easily. And when he gets frustrated, he shows his frustration. And this is what's causing some of this frustration is there. Carried the ball 4 times for 8 yards. He really hasn't gotten into the game yet, and Ricky Waters has to get into a game.
3rd down. They need 3. Bears show blitz. Incomplete. Intended for Rob Carpenter, and Pete was a little short.
And you hear that? These Bear fans here, these Bear fans understand defense, I think, as well as anyone in all of football. It gets to be 3rd down, they start making noise, so that you can't hear the quarterback and all that stuff. And then they know 3rd down is the big play.
Jeff Graham back deep for the Bears. Hutton to punt. Left-footed. Short kick. Graham lets it bounce. Takes a Bear bounce and goes back into Eagle territory at about the 48. 8:33 left in the second quarter. The Bears by 3. Some of the biggest names in Hollywood make some of the most embarrassing blunders of their careers. Find out what ended up on the cutting room floor on Oops. The world's funniest outtakes tonight at 7/6 Central on Fox. Oops.
I used to have a wide receiver that was nicknamed Oops.
He must have dropped it a lot.
Well, he did drop it a lot. Of course, we had to cut him, too. I mean, he could run like heck, but he couldn't catch the ball. And, you'd throw in the ball, and he'd always go, oops.
Now he's back running like he did in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, I think the Dave Wanstead knows that he's going to be their running back, and you just pat him on the back and say, forget it. I mean, all players really have to have bad memories. I always say that about corners. They have to have bad memories, but running backs, can't remember fumbles either. They have to have bad memories on those things.
Well, that's true of kickers, too. They need bad memories. Kramer fakes and goes deep. Conway. Beg your pardon.
Little Mark McMillan was right there with him. Curtis Conway looked like he got hurt there at the end. But watch him. I mean, he has great speed. He's running a post pattern here. And you can see Mark McMillan again watching the ball, timing it, and then comes in and just knocks it down with his left hand.
Good play.
I think Bobby Taylor was in there, too. You see, Taylor is number 21. The ball is going to go over him. He's just going to get in there, and he looks like he misdirects it.
He got a little piece of it.
In fact, it was Taylor that got the piece of it. It wasn't Mark McMillan.
And then McMillan, I think, also got a piece.
I'll tell you, and someone else got a piece of
Conway.
Eric Kramer just as he threw that ball.
Conway's still down in the end zone.
They talked about this field, and talking to the players, and they say that this field is like a rock. Watch Curtis Conway when he hits here, he just bounces. I mean, he bounced about a foot in the air after he hit.
Well, they had by the weekend they had, but not in the end zone. So the end zone frozen, and that's hard. Conway up and headed toward the bench. Landed on that hard end zone. Timpson has taken his place. Timpson and Graham both split wide to the right, 3rd and 4. Kramer rolls, fires, first down. Graham.
Let's watch that play again. Watch, here's Bobby Taylor here. Jeff Graham's going to run across. Taylor lets him go and gets all the way back here to knock that ball down. That's a heck of a play by Bobby Taylor. You see him down here in the bottom? Right now, he points to him, lets him go across, passes him off. Then he runs back and gets back into this area and knocks that ball down before it gets to Curtis Conway.
That is a heck of a play for a cornerback to get deep down the middle and knock the ball away.
On the other side of the field, covering the receiver on the other side of the field.
The Eagles move up. This is Salam to about the 31. Our Aflac trivia question this week: what player in today's game ran this formation in high school? Now count the players. This is correct.
Yeah, well, let's look at them right here. You got a center and a guard and a tackle. So that's an unbalanced line. a tight end, a wide receiver, 2 running backs, and a quarterback. So whoever it was played 8-man football in high school, right?
Right. Whoever it was.
Whoever it may be.
2nd and 6. Salam. Nothing there this time. The answer to our Aflac trivia question is he just carried it. He played 8-man football. Bears running back Rasan Salam ran this formation while at La Jolla Country Day School outside San Diego.
Yep, his mother wanted him to go to private school, and his dad was Teddy Washington, was a football player. In fact, I recruited Teddy. He was a great running back, and his mother wanted him to to go to a good private school, get an education, and be a high school student. And football wasn't a big part of it for his mother, but he plays 8-man football and then gets a scholarship to the University of Colorado.
He rode the city bus to get there. Bears call timeout. They lead 10-7. 10-7, the Bears lead. There's Otho Davis.
Otho Davis is right here, the trainer of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is his training room. Remember, we were there a couple weeks ago?
It's a shrine. Look at all those old helmets up there.
I know.
Shoes.
Yeah, leather helmets. That's the flag. He got football, slot machines.
And
everything.
The best chili in the world.
Yeah, in back here, he cooks his own chili. Starts it on Wednesday. We eat it on Saturday. It's the best anywhere.
Timpson makes the catch, gets a Bear first down at about the 21. The report on Conway is that when he hit the ground, got the wind knocked out of him and should be back. Timpson, his replacement, just made that reception.
Yeah, the Bears offensive coordinator here has really done a heck of a job. That's Ron Turner. His brother Norv Turner, of course, is the head coach of the Washington Redskins. But here's Ron Turner right here. But he's done a real good job of mixing things up today. You know, not just being one-dimensional.
Timpson in motion. Salam on first down. Carries a bunch of Eagles down to about the 14. Conway headed for the locker room.
I think he probably had more than the wind knocked out of him, because
probably.
they're going to get him in there and check him out before halftime. You know, Salam is really getting stronger. I think he has darn near 100 yards by now.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he is a powerful guy. You know, I mean, you just look at the way he carries a lot of tacklers with him, and a lot of tacklers miss him.
How about 99 yards? Now he's got the 100.
I mean, he's holding on to that. He's holding on to that pigskin. He's getting blocking up there. This is what the Bear fans wanted, I think. You know, the Bear fans for all those years, you know, have always had that great running game, a great defense. They kind of lost it this year, but they're getting it now. I mean, they're just taking the ball. These big linemen, they just pound out. Look at the movement they get.
Yeah.
I mean, those dark jerseys have taken those white jerseys and just put them about 4 or 5 yards back.
19 carries, 104 yards. This is Salam's 5th 100-yard rushing game of the season. He gets another carry. This one will put a minus onto it. The ball comes loose again, but the Bears recover. I think that one was blown dead.
Well, now he had confidence, then he got stripped a couple times, then he lost confidence, and then he gets stripped here again. You wonder what that's going to do to his confidence, because they're just going for the football. I mean, they got one who's going in there to tackle, then the other guys are just going in there. Look at Daniel Stubbs here. I mean, just going in there to grab the ball, to hold on, and not even trying to just pull that ball out of there.
And finally ripped it loose. 2nd and goal at the 12. A throwing down. Kramer. He's going to take off. Not a throwing down. Kramer to the 1. He went head first. No thought about sliding there.
Well, it was a throwing down, and you go back to throwing. If they give you a lane like that, you see it. And this is for a playoff position. You just take it. You know, he's looking to the left, then he comes to a second read in the middle of the right. He can't throw it, and he sees that big lane. You see Fuller got outside too far. That's what happens when you rush up the field out the side and you pin the guy inside. Then you have that lane between the defensive end and the defensive tackle.
3rd and goal at the 1. The Bears asking the end zone crowd for quiet. Flanagan's in the backfield. Touchdown to Keith Jennings. They faked the run, and it fooled everybody.
I know it. Well, you know, you put old Flanagan in the backfield. You put your defensive tackle in the backfield. That's what the Bears have been doing for years. Remember William Refrigerator Perry? They put that big tackle in the backfield, and they're sure it's run, run, run. And then what they do is they pass it to the guy who's the other blocker. Keith Jennings has 2 touchdowns already.
And Butler will try the extra point with Gedney holding. That's Kramer's 29th touchdown pass of the year. That's a new record.
That's because you have the big tackle leading in there, and you throw to another guy who's 270 pounds. Who expects him to catch a touchdown pass? Let's watch that touchdown. Here's Keith Jennings. The guy they get is Greg Jackson here. The play fake, and then Jennings just comes out here. But see, Greg Jackson is looking in there. Jennings fakes a block. Jackson doesn't even see Jennings go out. And Keith Jennings is wide open.
Jackson hit the fullback Flanagan and the running back Salah. But they didn't have the ball.
Oh, and that's the thing. I mean, that's one good thing when you put a guy like Flanagan in there. Everyone's sure, hey, they aren't going to put a defensive tackle in there and then pass.
Witherspoon at the 3. The Bears special teams do a good job. Falkerson was the first man there. Don't forget, coming up at the half, the Dockers halftime report with JB and Terry, scores and highlights, choice cuts, the plays of the year. And they'll get you up to date on what is going on in the NFL as far as the playoff picture is concerned as well.
There's Michael Zordich here. He's the kind of guy that sets all the defenses. He's the safety for the Eagles. And I think Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator of this Bear team, really has this Eagle defense on their heels because he's had great mixture of run and pass and play pass this first half.
Here's Rodney Peete back to throw it. And now he comes out of the pocket. The pass is incomplete, intended for Art Monk. It went right through his hands. It was high, but went through his hands.
Yeah, and if you look at this, Pat, when you have good mixture, stuff like this happens. And you say, why didn't the Eagles do this? Why didn't the Eagles get the ball here? Why didn't they use more of this and that? Well, because the Bears have had the ball for over 21 minutes.
And talking to Ray Rhodes last night, if he could do everything that he planned to do and had ready to do on offense, he'd need a couple of games.
Oh, yeah, he was talking about he was going to get Rob Carpenter in there, Art Monk, Chris T. Jones was going to do things.
He throws to Carpenter. Carpenter out of bounds at the 35, first down, Eagles. Dwayne Joseph knocked him out of bounds. Mark McMillan, looks like it could be a cramp that they're massaging. 17-7, the Bears lead the Eagles.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, who would like to salute the armed forces and extend their best wishes for a safe and happy holiday season.
The city of Chicago, and this is a great city, John. I know you like it. You spend a lot of time here.
It's one of my favorite. Michigan Avenue, I think, is, you're going to walk down the street. That doesn't get any better than that.
The Magnificent Mile.
Who were those 3 guys down there? Where were they?
Oh, no.
They looked like they were huddled up. They weren't even watching this game. They were in a survival mode.
Here's Rodney Peete to Ricky Waters. Ricky gets out for a gain of about 9. There they are down in the end zone.
Right here they are right there, huh?
Second and 1 at the 43.
Peete in a hurry back to throw. Royce comes out of there with it. Fires incomplete. very close to being over the line of scrimmage, and a flag down on the play. Art Monk, the intended receiver.
Yeah, Jim Flanagan was right there. I don't know if he hit Rodney Peete in the eye or what, but he was awfully close to him, and he was the guy that made Rodney Peete get out of there. And Rodney Peete's mother, Rodney Peete's wife, Rodney Peete's brother, the whole group of them there. Oh, you could tell who the wife was rooting for.
Pass. Number 9 on the offense. 5 yards and spotted the pass.
He was over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I think the guy, again, Jim Flanagan, was the Bear that was the first guy there, and he was the guy that flushed Rodney Peete out. I think he had some contact with him just before he flushed him out, too.
The Bears have run 42 plays. The Eagles just 19. 3rd and 6. Less than 2 minutes. A minute 32 left to play in the first half. The Bears by 10. Rodney Peete puts Carpenter in motion. Gets it to Waters, and Waters gets very little. Nothing, in fact, before the Bears, led by Jeremy Lincoln, take him down.
I mean, that was the thing that they didn't want to do. If it's 3rd down and 5 yards, you have to throw a 6-yard pass. You can't throw a 3-yard pass. Or in that case, I think it was a darn near a none-yard pass. You have to get someone up the field.
A timeout to the Bears, hoping for another shot with 1 minute and 5 seconds left to play in the first half.
Well, the Eagles are going to be kicking into the wind here, and the punts haven't been doing very well going in that direction.
Is that one guy asleep? No, he's awake.
In other words, they're from these guys are facing the way they have to punt. You know what these guys do? What their job is? That they got a job. They're working.
They are?
Yeah, they pull the nets up. See, they're there that if you see the nets don't stay up all the time so the fans can see. See in there, these are nets that go in here behind right here.
Yeah, but the fans can see through the net.
No, but the nets aren't up. See, they don't pull the net up until you start to kick there. Then those kids go and they pull the net up when someone gets ready to kick there.
Tommy Hutton's ready to kick to Jeff Graham. Line drive kick again. Graham misjudged it, and it sailed over his head, and he has to get away from it. And it rolls dead at about the 15. Sunday, spend your New Year's Eve day with Fox's live coverage of the NFC Wild Card game. Don't miss the excitement and drama as the road to the Super Bowl begins. And before the action, check out America's #1 pregame show for the latest in news and information from around the league. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Next Sunday, Wild Card. We don't know where we'll be, John.
No, I mean, if we had a, well, no, I won't even guess.
Okay.
These 2 Santa Claus, they ought to be working. These guys shouldn't even be there. They ought to be out there working. Like, oh, there's a Mrs. Claus.
I think that's Mrs. Claus.
Yeah, it was Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Well, it's the holiday season. Santa got a date.
There's Jeremy Lincoln.
Lincoln,
You
yeah.
were talking about that everyone has been working on in this Bear defense, and it's been Jeremy Lincoln out there at that right corner. Now, he's leaving just before halftime. He's done a pretty good job today. I mean, they haven't taken any advantage of him in this first half. But the group that's really done a good job, I think, is this Bear offensive line. You know, that we talk about plays, time of possession, and all those things. And all those things start with the blocking of the offensive line.
2nd and 7. The Bears will just run it out. That'll be the end of the first half as Ray Rhodes again has seen his team fall behind early. They trailed the Bears by 10 as they head for the locker room. 17-7, Chicago. Back at Soldier Field in Chicago, the Bears 17, the Eagles 7. Pat Summerall with John Madden. The Bears at the moment have things going their way. They lead by 10. And San Francisco's beating Atlanta. Eric Kramer has had an outstanding first half. Scrambles to set up the second touchdown. One of two he threw to Keith Jennings.
Yeah, and that was kind of a surprise. You know, that you think of the wide receivers, Conway out on one side, and you got the other, Jeff Graham on the other side, and then the guy that scores the touchdowns is Keith Jennings, big 270-pound tight end. But look at these things here. The Bears, they rushed for 133 yards, 214 total, 44 offensive plays to only 20 of the Eagles. And this is one of the things that the Bears have done well all year. No penalties. In fact, they're the least penalized team in the NFL.
And Eric Kramer hasn't been sacked. And they've allowed the fewest sacks of the year as well. So things have been going pretty much their way. Witherspoon back deep. And Todd Sauerbrunn will kick off for the Bears. He's a guy you spent a lot of time talking with yesterday at practice. You saw whatever problems he's having.
Well, I think he's just a young guy. I mean, I think Sauerbrunn's probably going to be a heck of a kicker in this league in a couple of years, but he's just a young guy. He said, say some nice things about me today. I haven't had a lot of those things.
Well, you said something nice. He's young.
And he just kicked one out of bounds.
Flag on the play.
I think the flag is that the ball went out of bounds.
Did the ball go out of bounds, or did the Eagles catch it and then go a step out of bounds? Christy Jones.
That's what the officials are talking about right now.
Gary
The
Lane.
receiver caught the ball, stepped out of bounds, kickoff out of bounds, ball will be at the 35-yard line, first down.
Well, that's what they were talking about. You're correct. Well, here's the catch.
Yeah, well, he was saying that he caught the ball and stepped out of bounds. So when he caught the ball, he was out of bounds. So therefore, the kick was out of bounds. And now the Eagles get the ball starting on the 35-yard line.
So with that ruling, they picked up 15 yards.
Sauerbrunn has that look of confusion. He's not sure exactly what that means.
Well, he's young, you said.
Yeah, and I think that, when he matures and gets a little older, he's going to be a heck of a kicker. But until now, he's a guy that drives his coach crazy.
Yeah, he's a second-round draft choice. And some of the stories with him and Dave Wanstedt are funny to us, but not so funny to him.
Not to any coach.
That's Waters, and he is knocked out of bounds by Jeremy Lincoln.
Yeah, right. And Ricky Waters has now carried the ball like 5 times for about 8 or 9 yards.
Rodney Peete under pressure.
Well, you see, he's been sacked twice, hurried twice, knocked down twice. He's fumbled 1 time. And then there's another one we don't have on there where he was flushed out of the pocket by Flanagan, ran over the line and got a penalty for throwing the ball after he passed the line of scrimmage.
4 wide receivers for the Eagles.
What's the run?
And hand the ball off to Ricky Waters or Charlie Garner. Waters. And nothing doing.
And that's the thing that they have to have. I mean, they have to get Ricky Waters in the game. I mean, that's why they brought him from San Francisco. He has to be, if you're going to have that kind of offense, it has to be Ricky Waters. And there's a guy who Ricky Waters admires, Walter Payton. Oh, sweetness. Ricky Waters would love to have a great game in front of Walter Payton.
How could you not admire him?
He said that he's the guy that he's always tried to be like.
3-man rush, and Peete scrambles. It will not get enough for a first down, knocked out of bounds by John Mangum.
That was a big play by John Mangum, because if the Eagles get a first down there, then another first down or two, they're in scoring position. So that, you look at a play like that and you think, oh, it's just a tackle. He just knocked him out of bounds. But that was a big, big tackle. See, if he doesn't get him right there, Rodney Peete is going to get that first down. And, of course, with the first down, you get a new set of downs and, you know, new shots at that Bear defense.
Flanagan was shaken up on the last pass rush, and now he's limping off. You know, it doesn't seem like that long ago. It wasn't that long ago that these two quarterbacks, Rodney Peete and Eric Kramer, were both in Detroit fighting each other for playing time. Hutton back to punt. Graham is deep. Graham signals fair catch and made a heck of a catch. Right off the ground. So the Bears stop the Eagles' first offensive effort in the second half and still lead by 10.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. Drivers wanted. By DirecTV, it's personalized TV. And by Speed Stick by Menon. Like you, it never quits.
There are many ways to enjoy Chicago. You've done some of that ice fishing, haven't you, John?
You can't beat ice fishing. You know, you dig a hole there in the ice, you make a hole, and then you just put your thing in, you just go up and down, and then you catch fish.
Seems like there ought to be some ways that I could think of that you could beat it. Ice fishing.
Playing football. I mean, you know, those guys are out there playing, but I'd rather be here, even though it's 30 degrees. But you got that wind down there, too. So then you have that wind chill. And I'll tell you, that guy there, he's feeling the wind chill because then you add the water to it, too. So you add, like degrees and then wind chill and then water on the lake.
And you got to worry when that guy was talking to the fish. Got to start being concerned about that. That's Graham fumble. They got it away. And the Bears get it back. Timpson recovered Graham's fumble.
That was a heads-up play by Michael Timpson there.
Timpson is playing instead of Conway, who was shaken up earlier.
But everyone is going after the ball here today. But on that one, Jeff Graham just got the ball punched out again. That's what they've been. But look how Michael Timpson gets in there.
Yep.
Really, he was fighting 3 Eagles for that ball.
McMillan was trying to pick it up.
You see, the ball is punched out right there. That's a tough thing. You know, it's not just getting the hit, but it's those hands and those, you know, punch motions knocking that ball out.
Salah taken down by William Thomas as he tried to spin it to the outside. Lost a yard, perhaps.
William Thomas, one of the guys from the Eagles that made the Pro Bowl this year. He's more of a cover linebacker. In fact, Ray Rhodes was saying last night that, you know, he's really an undersized linebacker, and if you had to pick his best position because he has great speed and he's a great cover guy on the pass, his best position may be a strong safety.
Eric Kramer, 174 passes without an interception. That's a new Bear record, the old record held by Jim Harbaugh.
He's audibleizing now.
Kramer to Timpson. It's picked off by the Eagles, Romanowski. Bill Romanowski bounced off.
And you're just giving that record, you're just giving about Eric Kramer's record, but that wasn't an Eric Kramer interception. I mean, it's going to count as a stat in an Eric Kramer interception, but that was a perfect pass.
And we just said he'd taken every snap of the year, and now he's down.
Oh, that is a late hit. Look at that. Oh, that's after the play was over and everything. He was running off the field. Oh, I don't know if they saw that one.
Mike Mamula.
Watch this. He's going to throw the ball. The play is over. Now watch this. I mean, he's starting to walk away.
Whoa.
And he really got hit there. But what happens is after a quarterback throws an interception, now he's not an offensive player anymore. He's on defense, and they always teach the guy to go after him. So that wasn't after he threw it. That was after the interception.
Garner is the deep back. And Garner is hit behind the line of scrimmage by the Bear defenders.
These Bear defenders have done a heck of a job on these Eagle running backs. You know, they came in here and you expected Ricky Waters was going to have a big day. Charlie Garner was going to have a big day. But this defense has really done a heck of a job. Here's the interception here. You see the slant? He throws the slant. The ball just pops right out of him. Romanowski gets the ball here. And now you watch what happens here.
Here's Pete, the throw short to Carpenter, who caught it on the bounce.
On the coverage.
A report on Conway, by the way, the Bear wide receiver, is that he has a bruised sternum. We don't know, nor do the Bears know, if he'll be able to come back anymore today or not.
Well, they say that they had an X-ray at the halftime. The X-ray was negative, but as you say, they still don't know if he'll come back the rest of the day.
3 wide receivers on 3rd down. Bears showing blitz. Pete back to throw. The man loose. They blitz. The pass is complete to Carpenter. Carpenter was slung backwards as they don't get the first down. Mark Carrier made the play, and a good play.
Another, we saw earlier where John Mangum made a play. That time it was Mark Carrier, because the Bears came after, and the Bears came on an all-out full blitz. They completed the pass. Now you have to have that open field tackle. But watch this Bear blitz. They got the whole group up there. Now they have to play man for man. The ball is completed, and Mark Carrier has to get the guy down now because there's no help behind him.
Hutton punts deep. The ball landed in the end zone. I thought it did. And they'll bring it back to the 20. The way the Eagles were ganging around it, I thought maybe it didn't go to the end zone, but it did. 35-yard punt by Hutton. 17-7, Chicago. With John Madden, Pat Summerall back at Soldier Field, Chicago, where the home team, the Bears, leads by 10. And they have the ball, having just stopped an Eagle drive. Hutton's punt went into the end zone. It's 1st and 10. Kramer's back at quarterback. Salam gets the carry to the 23. Gobea.
I'll tell you, did that right side of the line, if you want to see some guys fire out, watch Jay Leuenberg and James Williams, the right side of that Bear offensive line. I mean, this is how you block. I mean, it's right here, and they just fire out, and you got to get movement here because this is where you're going to bring the ball. But watch that fire out. It's a double team. They get him going backwards, then they put him right on his back. They've been doing that all day.
No, this is
Kramer to throw it. Incomplete. A flag on the play intended for Keith Jennings. Zordich doesn't care for the call.
Well, Kramer looks like he was okay. You know, after he threw that interception, he was really hit there by Mike Mamula. Like he was hit right in the head.
And he had taken every snap.
Pass interference, defense, number 36.
All year long for the Bears.
Automatic first down.
Zordich called for the foul, and he's still protesting.
But you're going to see the play. Michael Zordich is number 36. He's going to come in right there just as the ball was thrown. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, he got there just as the ball got there. That was awfully close.
2 tight ends. Kramer to throw. Complete to Jeff Graham again to the 40, the possession receiver. And he knows how to get open.
And he just has a great feel. I mean, he has a great feel for the zones to where to find the hole in the zone, and then once you find that hole in the zone, to come under control. And you see the first guys that he goes to, instead of going to the quarterback, he probably did that too, but he went up to those offensive linemen and he said, hey, good blocking, guys. If you guys don't do that, I don't get the ball downfield.
Salam. Maybe a yard. Gobea again on the tackle.
Gobea finished that off, didn't he?
Yep.
Well, that's one thing about Kurt Gobea. If you're going to run the ball inside those tackles and you're in that short yardage situation and he can zero in on you, he is going to tap you. Watch him right here. He's reading the thing. See, he's looking at the fullback and the tailback. Then he has that hole right there. Take on the lead block, then come off it, and if there's still any movement, finish it off right there.
Salam. Near the 30, about the 32. A couple short of the first down. Gouveia again on the stop. He's always been, even back in the days with the Redskins, when there was some doubt about him playing every down. He's been one of those guys who always seems to be around the ball.
Well, he's not a big guy or a real strong guy, but he's a playmaker. He just is a guy who is a good tackler, and he has a good feel. You're talking about having a good feel. This Rashaan Salam looks like he has an excellent feel. Yeah, look at his yak. In other words, that's yards after the first contact. 68 yards of his 118 yards.
Not much there.
You know, the thing they always talk about is after you win the Heisman Trophy, there aren't many Heisman Trophy winners that do well as pros in their first year. And Rashaan Salam now has gained over 1,000 yards his first year. And I think he's one of 6 or 7 guys that have won the Heisman Trophy and done that. Billy Sims, Tony Dorsett, Sanders. That's a pretty good group right there, those 3 you named.
Yeah. 4th and 5, and the Bears are going for it. The Eagles showed blitz. Kramer lost it to Graham, and again he gets a Bear first down. A flag on the play. This has got to be a face mask.
That has been a heck of a combination today. Eric Kramer finding Jeff Graham. He's been doing it from the first quarter. Anytime he needs a play, he's looking for number 81.
Number 26 on the defense. 5-yard penalty on the end of the run. First down.
Jerome Henderson grabbed Graham.
That was a 4th and 5, so they were in a nickel situation. That's why Henderson was in there, but it doesn't make any difference who they put in there. Just seems like Eric Kramer is looking for Jeff Graham today. There's not a lot of fans here today. In fact, there's a lot of no-shows here today, but they're sure making a lot of noise, aren't they?
Scott Adams is an eligible receiver wearing number 72. As Salam goes in that direction. Inside the 20, about the 18. Stopped by Romanowski.
When they put Scott Adams in, again, we talked about that earlier. When they put him in as on first down, that means they're probably going to run on first down. They've done it a couple times today, and each time they do it, they run the ball. They want to get another blocking tight end. They have Adams on one side and then big Keith Jennings on the other side. Probably if they would have gained 7 or 8 yards, they probably would have stayed with it and just do it again. But they're not.
5 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Salam to the 15, picked up a couple. Gouveia again.
See, that's the thing. By Salam running, you see who else. Gouveia's in there, but Michael Zordich is in there, too. The Eagles, to stop the run, have to bring their safeties up. Now, that's when you get the 8th man in the box and you get all that. Now, that means once that safety is coming up for that run, that now you only have 3 guys that are deep. You see, and that's what happens here. You see, Zordich is right here. Now, when he has to get up there and you have to get that safety up on or around the line of scrimmage, then they're really open for the pass.
3rd and 3. The Bears have 4 wide receivers, an extra tight end. The handoff is to Carter. Tony Carter nudges it down to about the 13-yard line. That may be a little bit short of the first.
And then, well, he's not going to go for it. He went for it on 4th down earlier because Dave Wanstead did, figuring that it was too far for a field goal. Now he gets a 4th down. He's already made his decision that he is going to go for the field goal because now I guess he figures that he is in Butler's range.
Close enough. So Butler with Gedney holding, and they run the fake, and they get the first down anyway. Flag on the play.
I wonder if they were set. Ray Rhodes is saying it's against the Bears. That was the Bears' trick, but it wasn't against the Bears. It's a first down.
There is no flag on the play. Number 67 had reported as an eligible
Lewis
receiver.
Tillman wound up with the ball. Let's go back and look at that again.
But see what happens is you see here's the kicker and the ball carrier. Here's the whole line lined up over here. You see, here's the center, a holder, and a kicker. Now here's Tillman here with the whole line. They're just going to snap the ball out here to Tillman. Watch that. You see everyone's looking around. What's happening? He just throws it out to Tillman, and Tillman runs him for the first down. I run that play at Marshbank Park.
Yeah. He didn't snap it between his legs. He just turned around and threw it. And again, the ball was loose, and the Eagles saying they have it. And they do.
Oh, that's a coach killer. Dave Wanstead just makes a heck of a call and a heck of a situation, gets a first down, and then fumbles it back to the Eagles. Whew. We're going to see the ball stripped out again here. Here's Kurt Govea here. Watch his right hand. That's going to hit Rashaan Salam's right hand and knock the ball out, start to knock it out. Then Bill Romanowski comes in and strips it out. So it was a double strip. Govea first, and then Romanowski.
Rodney Peete back to throw it. Gets it outside to Carpenter. Gets an Eagle first down, out of bounds. Stops the clock with 2:57 left in the third.
You know, the Eagles haven't gotten to a lot of things that they've wanted to do today. One of them was to work out there on this corner, Jeremy Lincoln. They just got to it then.
Atlanta has gone ahead of San Francisco 22-21.
And of course, we know that if the Bears are going to be in the playoff, they need a win by Atlanta, and of course a win by the 49ers and a win by themselves.
Peete chased, gets away from the man chasing, and Zorich made him go out of bounds. And right now for McDonald's game break, let's send you again back to Hollywood and James Brown.
Pat, you gave the score. Here's how it happened. Terry Bradshaw said, you see the Falcons in a lot of trips formation. It worked. Hebert to Terrence Mathis. Atlanta by 1 over 49ers. Let's take it back to Pat and John.
And back here at Soldier Field, the Bears leading 17-7. 2:32 left in the third quarter.
Yeah, they all run to those heated benches now, don't they? They're off there.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, you wonder who gets the spots and who doesn't get the spots. Those seats are heated, and then they have holes that they can stick their feet in, too.
I don't know that they have reserved seats.
You see,
yeah.
Well, they got a couple of guys in there that aren't in suits. I would think before you can sit on that bench,
players' kids.
Yeah, but you better have a uniform on. You can't sit in the heated bench. Yeah, how'd they get that seat?
Got jackets, everything. 2nd and 10 at their own 22 for the Eagles.
Probably their Christmas present.
3 wide receivers. Here's Peete looking left. Finds his man just shy of the 30. Reggie Johnson made the catch, the tight end.
I think the Eagles really have to do two things. I think they talked about Ricky Waters and Charlie Garner, and I think in this kind of weather, they have to get those guys involved and get them running with the ball. Then the other thing I think they have to do is work out here to the flanks, both right and left, but especially left, just down in this area right out here.
3rd and 2. They're showing blitz. Waters got away from a couple and got close to a first down. I don't think he quite made it.
Well, if he didn't make it, the Eagles are going to have to punt here. I mean, so the way Ricky Waters walked back to the huddle, he thinks he made it. Ray Rhodes knows that he better have made it, because if he didn't, I don't think that they can take a chance here and not punt.
They're going to measure. That's how close he got. Now they're sending the punting team on.
And the players all want to go for it. And again, that's the type of thing that the Cowboys did, and it looks good and you get it. But if you don't get it on 3rd down, then you have to punt the ball. This is a play that he has to do.
And in this part of the field, it's the only play to make.
You know, and it's the same situation that the Cowboys had against the Eagles there, because
it was later in the game.
It was later in the game. It was within 2 minutes, but they're going to be short of a first down, and they're going to have to punt into the wind. I mean, that thing then that changed it a couple of flops there. Oh, I don't know. That's a.
They did make the look at the.
I think they did make a first down.
Look at the field.
So now Ray Rhodes knew that if he didn't make a first down, he was going to have to punt, but he did make the first down.
Looking at the playing surface, it looked like you should have some cows walking around out there.
There's nothing here. Ricky Waters makes a heck of an effort here, because he was darn near stopped right there, darn near stopped again, and he just kept going and then finished it off right at the end. That little move right there, I think, is what got him the first down.
So they're at their own 32. On first down, he gives again to Ricky Waters, who gets about 9 before he's stopped by Joe Kane. It looks like Ricky Waters has been revitalized.
Well, he's just getting the ball, and that's what he's saying. Just give me the ball, feed me the ball. This is the type of, this is a time of year that I want the ball. This is what you brought me here for. He was talking the other day about how Walter Payton had said to him that you run too much like you're a kick returner. You have to run like a running back, and that's what he's been trying to do all this year.
Be more patient. 3 wide receivers this time, second and short. Pete to throw it. Pump fake left. Got a man, Art Monk, and that keeps his consecutive game streak alive.
And sometimes you just have to do that. It just takes a couple of runs by Ricky Waters. Now you make them think you're going to run, and then you get them up there, and then you hit them with the pass.
183 games with a catch in a row for Art Monk. A quarter to go at Soldier Field. The Bears up 17-7. The Eagles ball. First and 10 at the Bear 24.
Isn't that Art Monk something? When he was with the Redskins, he was kind of a possession type guy.
Yeah.
And now they bring him here and they just run him a post pattern. I don't remember him running more than 3 or 4 post patterns in the whole career at Washington.
The intended receiver from Pete, incomplete.
Oh, and did Rodney Pete get upset about that one because he knew he had him? Hey, Rob Carpenter has his guy here. Now watch Rodney Pete here. He knows that if he makes a perfect throw that this is a touchdown. He's waiting, and then he knows right there, he figures out that it wasn't a perfect throw.
Yeah.
But he had it. That's the thing you look for. You wait for it. You get the matchup you want. You get the guy right there. That was a perfect throw. Yeah. Rob Carpenter, he didn't have to dive. All he had to do was run through that one.
It went right through his hands. Waters headed off in the backfield, and he lost way back outside the 30 to the 33. And there's Art Monk, who hurt his wrist when he made that reception earlier, headed for the locker room.
Yeah, on that post pattern that he caught, we're saying that he doesn't run many post patterns. As he went down, it looked like he came down right on his wrist.
On a very hard field, and getting harder.
And here it is. Here's the end of the play. Now, he either hit it when he came down there, or maybe he hit that on the helmet just before he went down is what it was.
Big loss by Waters, 3rd and 20. And a timeout, Eagles. They'll have 2 left. We're in the 4th quarter with the Bears leading 17-7.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, who would like to salute the armed forces and extend their best wishes for a safe and happy holiday season.
Back at Soldier Field, Chicago, 17-7. The Bears lead.
And, of course, this was after the Bears fumbled the ball after they had that trick play on the field goal.
3rd and 20. Carpenter moves in motion. No blitz. Pressure from Flanagan, however, and down he goes. The ball is loose, and the Bears have it.
I think I heard a whistle.
Yeah, the whistle blew. Theory is the Bear who took off with it. But it's going to be the Bears' ball I believe.
And I think it's going to be the Bears' ball right where Rodney Peete went down. The referee stayed right there.
Except the punting team is on the field, so maybe the Eagles will have a chance to punt it at least.
Maybe he's going to say that he blew the whistle before the fumble. I don't know about that. The ball comes out before he goes down. You can see him waving his arm. So he's saying that he blew the whistle before Rodney Peete lost the ball.
That was a heck of a rush by Spellman.
That's the second time Spellman made a heck of a rush.
Hutton. Ball is going to be down by the Eagles. Maybe. Somebody hit it. It bounced off somebody's foot. I think one of the Bears touched it. The Eagles are signaling touchdown.
The official signal touchdown. That one official signal touchdown.
Thought he did, and the Bears are still. The Eagles are still doing it.
Yeah, it is a touchdown.
The ball hit the receiver's foot going into the end zone. Touchdown.
Touchdown. Gary Lane finally does say that. Henderson made the recovery.
Watch right there. It hit his foot. See,
Yeah.
it hit Lewis's foot right there. Then it comes in the end zone. Now it's a free ball. The Eagles recover the free ball in the end zone for a touchdown. That's the thing. Anytime the ball on a punt hits the ground, you always tell everyone, get off, get away from it. You know, you don't stand anywhere near the ball where it can touch it, because this is what can happen.
And know where it is. The extra point is good, and the Eagles move closer, 17-14. Wow. The Bears by 3.
Yeah, as we watch this touchdown again, you see that Jeff Graham is back here to return the punt. Now, he says fair catch, and he's going to get away from it. But look at the way the ball hit. Then it gets way over to here. And you see Dennis Lundy, number 43, is over there. But he's way over on the side blocking his guy. The ball was punted to the middle of the field and then took a wild hop to its right and hit Lundy right on the foot. Then it became a free ball. The Eagles recovered it for a touchdown.
Low kick fielded by one of the up front men for the Bears. Lewis Tillman. Tillman gets out to the 45. And let's have a look at that dreaded thing, turnovers. And this time of year, any time of year, those are crucial.
It's really killed the Bears so far. Even though the points off turnovers, it's 7-7. But, you know, the Bears were going in, you know, one time to score when they fumbled the ball. They lost that. And then on that one, they were receiving a punt. That's really 14 points, I think.
Right. Tillman is the deep back. Kramer back to him. Ball hits Keith Jennings in the knee, and it's incomplete.
It's strange how momentum changes. You know, they got everything they needed. They had the fake, and then they get the fake the Bears did, and then they fumble the ball. Then they stop the Eagles, and they make them punt, and then the ball hits their guy, and the Eagles get a touchdown.
And Lewis Tillman is the deep back in place of Salam. And maybe Dave Wanstead just had enough of the fumbling. That's Tillman, who goes over the top to about the 48. Bring up the clutch there. Andy Harmon limping around in the middle of the Eagle defense.
And that had to be something that the Eagle defense worked all week on. You know, that they said, you know, we got a rookie running back we're playing against who is a good running back, but we can strip him. And because they've been going after the strip on Salam all day.
Chalinsky was the man who left. Dunn took his place. Tony Carter is the deep back for the Bears on third down. Kramer back to throw it. Eagles blitz. They get the ball to Carter. Flag on the play. Carter still on his feet inside the 25 to about the 23.
Eric Kramer made a heck of a play on that because the blitz guy came free. He was completely free.
Yeah.
Kramer felt him and made a little move on him. Then he was able to get up and get that ball completed.
It's against the Eagles.
Holding defense. Philadelphia penalties decline. First down.
Carter made a heck of a run after he caught that pass.
Eric Kramer made a heck of a move getting away from a blitz. You know, anytime you get a free guy and you see him coming off the corner here, he started there, then you get the hole. That is really, that's worse than a hole. That's a mug.
And Jeff Graham is letting them know about it.
That's one way to stop him. But Jerome Henderson was on Graham, and he's the guy that blitzed. And he was right there, and Eric Kramer made a move on him. He came blitzing from the corner, and they held him. Whew, what a play.
Ball on the Eagle 25. The Bears lead by 3. Eric Kramer gives to Tillman. Tillman gets to about the 22.5-yard line before he's knocked backwards by Kurt Govea.
Remember, we saw Tillman play some big games
Yeah.
when he was with the Giants. He's the guy who went to Jackson State. That was the same school as Walter Payton. In fact, he broke all of Walter Payton's records at Jackson State.
I hate to even say this, but Tillman is not a fumbler.
But there's a little different right here, 2.7 yards per carry.
Yeah.
You know, and Rashaan Salaam was really having a heck of a game. I mean, he had a great game.
But having a heck of a time holding on to the ball, too.
He was holding when they were stripping.
Outside to Falkerson. He is an interesting story. He was playing arena football when the Bears got him before training camp last year. And they were discussing contract and the things that go on with the signing of a player, and he just said to Dave once that, can I just have a couple of days off?
They just wanted one thing, 2 days off. He was playing in Albany in the Arena League.
Yeah.
They played right up till training camp, and the Bears signed him and wanted him to come to training camp the day that the arena ball was finished.
First and 10, 2 tight ends. Kramer fakes and throws end zone wide open is Keith Jennings again, and Kramer just threw it too far.
Jennings is going to have a career day if he doesn't watch out. He already has 2 touchdowns, and you know that the Eagles, that when they were talking about defense and game plan and all that, they weren't worried about Keith Jennings.
Yeah.
I think the Bears figured that out because he has not been covered all day.
He just couldn't turn on the smoke, or Kramer threw it too far. I don't know which.
Well, when you weigh 275 pounds, you don't have a lot of smoke. I mean, smoke is for those guys that weigh around 205, 210. 275, not a lot of smoke.
Second and 10. Kramer gives to Lewis Tillman. Tillman down to about the 10.5-yard line. Stopped by Zordich as Kevin Butler gets ready.
Remember last time Kevin Butler got ready, they came up with that trick play.
Yeah.
They had Butler there, the holder, the center, and they snapped the ball sideways and had a wedge in front of him. That was a good-looking trick.
One of the times we did a Bear game, I called him Butthead. A lot of the listeners that I saw, people that I knew, said, "What did you call him?"
That's his nickname.
His nickname.
That's what everyone calls him, Butthead.
2 tight ends. Tillman deep. Kramer to throw it. On the bounce to Timpson.
Oh, Kramer looked like he aimed that one. Of course, it wouldn't have been a first down anyway. Again, that's the same call I can't understand. You're down there on the 11-yard line. Why don't you throw it in the end zone?
He can't understand it either.
Yeah, maybe it was called to go into the end zone, but that throw didn't make any sense. Even if it was completed, you'd have to kick the field goal anyway. Now those kids got that thing up. See that thing up? Yep, the kids got the net up. The wind blowing his jersey.
28 yards out for Kevin Butler. And he is good. And the Bears now lead by 6. 20-14. With 10:18 left to play.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Nissan. It's time to expect more from a car. By MasterCard, it's more than a credit card. It's smart money. By Sony Maximum Television, hear and see everything you pay for. And by Detarex with conditioners, the serious dandruff shampoo.
So Santa Claus waving the Chicago Bear flag.
Yeah, the flag almost tipped Santa one time.
He buckled, coming and bringing it out.
His knees buckled. There was a little too much wind in his sails, and the old Santa's knees buckled.
Sauerbrun's kickoff again sails to Christy Jones. And Jones taken out of bounds in front of the Eagle bench. At the end of this game, John and I'll select the Miller Lite player of the game. And I'm not sure I even have any thoughts yet. Have you?
We still got a lot to play here yet.
20-14.
I don't know.
The Bears lead by 6. Happy holidays. Stay warm.
They all do a great job, don't they?
Really. Reverse to Garner. And he's got some blockers and a wall out in front of him. And he does a little step. Right now for a McDonald's game break. Let's again send you back to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
All right, Pat, take a look at this 39-yard field goal by Jeff Wilkins. It puts San Francisco up by 2. You know Chicago fans are cheering, especially if the Bears hold on. Let's take it back to Pat and John.
Eagle first down at the Bear 47. The Bears lead by 6. Eagles just made their 10th first down. The Bears show blitz. Pete back to throw it. He's hit just as he lets it go. A spin move by one of the blitzing linebackers. Hit Rodney's arm.
Yeah, if you look at the Eagles today, Pat, they've only had 36 offensive plays. They've had 37 rushing yards. They've only had 9 first downs.
They just got their 10th.
Right, and their time of possession is just a little over 15 minutes. So they haven't been able really to get anything established.
No.
You know, I mean, you say you got to get the ball to the outside guys. You have to get the ball to Ricky Waters. You got to get the ball to Charlie Gardner. But if you don't have it, you don't do any of those things, and that's been their problem.
Carpenter man in motion, and here's Rodney Pete back to throw. Batted backwards by Theory, and a flag on the play.
Hey, every time Rodney Pete goes back there, there's been a guy right there, either hitting him, knocking him down, or knocking the ball out of his hand.
This is holding against the Eagles. Pass was incomplete. I think they're still...
Offense, number 76. Penalties decline. Third down.
76 is Barrett Brooks. He's a rookie here, and he's the guy that is blocking John Theory. Theory is the guy that got there, so he held him, and it still didn't do him any good. Watch him hold right there. Maybe it did do him a little good, because if he didn't hold him, Theory may have had a sack.
Third down.
There's a much beleaguered player, that left tackle, Barrett Brooks.
4 wide receivers. 3rd and 10. Rodney Pete back to throw. He'll have time this time. What a catch by Christy Jones. He went up. He's a big receiver anyway. He went up and held on. 17-yard gain.
That's what they've always said. You know, if you're going to go inside, you may as well catch it, because you're going to get hit anyway. So you may as well catch it and hold on to it. I'll tell you, you know, when you talk to Ray Rhodes, he loves Christy Jones.
Doesn't he, though?
He thinks that he's really going to be something.
Back to when they declined a holding penalty. That's hard to do. Ricky Waters lunges for a couple of yards.
Yeah, I think they probably thought that they had everything going their way, and that Rodney Pete couldn't come back and complete another pass, and he did.
17-yard gain. They would have needed 20 yards for the first. Because if they'd gotten 17, then it would have been... They would have tried for it on fourth down. Who knows? Second down. Handoff was to Waters. That was a confused-looking play.
Well, because of the penetration, the defense got there at the same time that Ricky Waters and Rodney Pete got there. If you can watch this, watch the point of the handoff here, and you're going to see the crowd there. If we can just stop it right there, you can just see as he's handing the ball off, there are 3 Chicago Bears in the backfield. And they're trying to run some kind of cross buck, but they just didn't get that front block. John Theory again being the first guy in there.
3rd down and 7. Bears bring everybody, and Pete throws. The pass is picked off by Marty Carter. A one-hand interception by Carter as it bounced off one of the Eagle receivers. Bears had a blitz going. Bounced off Reggie Johnson, and Carter came up with it. Happy holidays.
Watch Dwayne Joseph here. He's going to come into blitz. He's right here. Now, he makes Rodney Peete throw the ball really when he doesn't want to, and he throws a little behind the receiver. You see, that pressures him right there. Rodney Peete throws it behind the receiver, and there's Marty Carter to get the interception.
Bears have the ball at their own 29. 1st and 10.
You see, Pete couldn't step up and throw the ball. He kind of had to do a jump pass going away, and that made him throw it behind.
Kramer outside to Timpson. Completed the 35.
I'll say one thing about this Chicago Bear offense. They're very aggressive today. You know, they're not going into that thing, well, let's run out the clock. Yeah. You know, let's ball control. Let's do this. Ron Turner is up there, and he's calling these plays, and he's calling reverses, and he's calling tricks, and he's throwing the ball on 1st down, and he's calling a very aggressive game.
2nd and 3. There's Ron Turner. Lewis Tillman close to 1st down yardage. Gouveia again made the stop.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough Christmas Eve, I think, for the Peete family, because Rodney Peete isn't having a real good day. Willie Peete is a running back coach for the Chicago Bears, and Rashawn Salam has fumbled 3 or 4 times. So, you know, but one of them is going to win and one of them is going to lose, and it's always the toughest right on the mother. It always is. There's the father there. There's Willie Peete right here. You saw his wife there sitting with Rodney Peete's wife and his son. But this is a tough situation, and it's always down for the people watching.
1st down. They measured, got it. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. Tillman. By Zordich.
Yeah, the group that's done a heck of a job, I mentioned before, is the offensive line. And if you look at Eric Kramer and the lack of pressure, look, he hasn't been sacked today. He hasn't been hurried. He's been knocked down 1 time, and he's had 1 interception. Again, a lot of that is Eric Kramer. A lot of that is his receivers. But again, a big part of it is that offensive line. They've done an excellent job today for the Bears.
2nd and 6. Tillman, the lone guy. He gets the carry. Lewis Tillman outside the 45-47. Romanowski on the stop. Report on Art Monk. John, I believe, is that he fractured the ulna bone in his left arm. Ulna.
Yeah, that was a tough break. That was when he caught that post pattern, that big play, and he
really the biggest play they've had all day. Just
right, and he hit the helmet, hit his arm on the helmet. The ulna is one of the bones between the elbow and the wrist, and the arm.
3rd and 3. Kramer. Graham had it bounce off as he spun upfield before he had possession.
You know, Kramer's really done his job today. Even on those interceptions, they bounced out of guys' hands, and that one there, that 3rd down, he threw that ball, and that should have been a 1st down. And again, Kramer's had a big day. But that offensive line, I've really been impressed with this Bear offensive line.
They've done a heck of a job.
They've controlled that line of scrimmage.
Rob Carpenter deep to the Eagle. Sauerbrunn. Carpenter fumbled it. Got it back on the bounce. Keyshawn Johnson.
You better watch out, and you better not cry, and you better not pout.
The Bears by 6.
Santa Claus is a-comin'.
Father of the bride, Steve Martin, and Goldie Hawn star in an outrageous comedy about a house with all the modern conveniences and one major inconvenience: The House Sitter. Catch the world broadcast premiere this week on the Fox Tuesday Night Movie. First and 10 Eagles. At about their 13-yard line, they go with 3 wide receivers. Rodney Peete gives to Waters, and Waters is stopped at the line of scrimmage.
You know, one interesting thing here, Pat, they haven't been, you know, they show the scores of other games up in the scoreboard here, and they haven't been showing that San Francisco-Atlanta game. And I don't know if the Bears said, hey, don't put those scores up.
I'm sure they did.
We don't want to know. Yeah, let us just take care of our game and not be watching the scoreboard to see what Atlanta's doing.
They're just about the same point in their game we are in this one. The 49ers lead Atlanta by 2, 2nd and 9. The Bears are up by 6. Rodney Peete signaling, doesn't have the right kind of formation. The pass is incomplete, intended for Carpenter, right through his hands.
Well, that was a blitz protection there. Did you see where Ricky Waters was? He was lined up right there behind the guard, and that's where you know you think a back is going to have to pick up a blitzer. You line him right up in the line of scrimmage. Watch Ricky Waters here. He just comes up here. Now Rodney Peete is telling him what to do, so Ricky Waters just stays right there, because if they don't snap the ball, then they're going to take too much time. If he moves, it would be illegal motion.
Big 3rd and 9. The Bears rush 3. Peete coming out with it. The pass is picked off by John Mangum. Mangum is down at the Eagle 38 by Carpenter.
Second big play for John Mangum.
Yeah.
He's just a nickel back, just a little guy. One of those overachievers. He made a big 3rd down tackle earlier in the game, and now he makes a big 3rd down interception. Rodney Peete kind of looked like he was just trying to throw this away or force it in. See, he starts here. Now he gets a little pressure up the middle, so he starts to scramble here, and he throws it out there, and he throws it right to Mangum.
The Bears only rush 3. Mangum with the interception.
Yeah, but that 3 did get some pressure in the end zone. Did get some pressure there, and then Mangum was just standing right there, and Rodney Peete threw it right to him.
The Eagles have 2 timeouts left. The Bears are up by 6, 3:41 left to play. Tillman spins away from 1, spins to the 35. Picked up about 3. Today's game is produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Sandy Grossman. Associate director is Rich Russo. The broadcast associates are Mike Roig and Fran Morrison. Stage manager is Rich Nelson. Studio was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. 20-14, the Bears lead the Eagles.
Now you're talking. This is the barbecue, the tailgate before the game.
Salsa's already out.
Salsa's already out.
Look at that. Put some hot stuff in there.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, you come back here in the Midwest, they got great tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they always have big old sausages here.
Here's Kramer. Gets it out to Falkerson, and Falkerson gets a first down. Coming out of the backfield, Zordich took him down. The Eagles blitz.
And again, the Bear offense has been aggressive all day today. They haven't gotten into that thing. trying to run out the clock. They've been throwing the ball. They've been play passing. They've been moving it all over. When the fullback comes here, he's just going to fake like he's going to block. Kramer just watches him all the way and gets it out there to him for a first down. But again, you go back to Ron Turner and the job that he's done. He's kept this Eagle defense on their heels all day by his play calling. He never got into anything where you could say this is what they're doing.
The Eagles have never won in Chicago. Tillman hit at the line of scrimmage. That's Govea.
That is the way to tackle. If you were going to draw up a form-perfect tackle, that would be it. The way Kurt Govea tackled Tillman on that play.
Yeah, this is an Eagle timeout, and they don't have any left. The Bears lead by 6, 20-14. Happy holidays, 20-14. Yes, happy holidays.
You know, and happy holidays to everyone here in Chicago. You know, this is a great scene.
Really.
It's a great place to come to do a game. And there's talk the Bears may not be back here. They may move to Gary, but it would be a shame if the Bears didn't play here.
Tillman hammers to about the 22. Romanowski made the stop.
Of all the years we've been doing games, I think this is one of our favorite places to come. And
oh, yeah.
you remember back to 1985 and how much fun that season was?
Well, the Bears were so good. We did a string of games when nobody even scored against the Bears.
We did like 6 games and never saw a touchdown against the Chicago Bears.
That, of course, was their Super Bowl year. 2 minutes remain in this one. And the Bears up by 6.
Start spreading the news.
It's Thomas Hayden Church from Wings like you've never seen him before. He's one half of TV's funniest couple. Check out Ned and Stacy tomorrow at its new time, 9, 8 Central on Fox. Third down, Bears at the Eagle 22. 3rd and 8. And Kramer will throw it. Nope. Tillman to the 20. And here comes Kevin Butler. I'm not sure. He's not sure.
Well, I think he will, because with a 6-point lead, I think they need the field goal here.
49ers up 27-22 now over Atlanta.
But they're still not showing that here at the stadium.
Butler is out on the field with Gedney to hold. It'll be from 37 yards about.
There's 5 seconds left down here. You can see on the clock down here. They're gonna let that go.
Now a Bear timeout. Kramer stood and waited. Don't forget the NASDAQ postgame report. NASDAQ stock market postgame report. Scores from around the NFL. The playoff implications. 20-14 here. The Bears leading. While we were thanking people who've helped us, I'd like to thank also Wayne Fiddleman and Tom Yohe, who's been on top of the playoff situation as well as keeping statistics. Wayne's done a outstanding job all year. 20-14. The Bears trying to tack on to that. 37 yards out is Kevin Butler with Chris Gedney holding. No. Wide right.
Now we still got a game, because had they made that, then the Eagles would need 2 scores with 1 minute 9 seconds to go and no timeouts. Now they need 1 score and they can still win this game. But remember, they have no timeouts.
No timeouts. Ray Rhodes, you know, that's eating into him to be behind at this stage. Okay. But he knows also there's still life.
And that he still has a shot. Because had Butler made that, the game would have been over for all intent and purposes.
So 1:09 left. 4 wide receivers. Pete. Incomplete. Intended for Chris T. Jones.
Yeah, we talked about that offensive line doing such a good job. This defense has played a lot better today. You know, their pass defense hasn't been a strength of this Bear defense,
Especially on the outside.
But they've played well today. I mean, they've gotten a little pass rush. The linebackers done well. The secondary's playing well. They've really shut out this Eagle offense.
3-man rush. Pete. Incomplete. Almost intercepted. It is intended for Williams. 2 of the Bear players, 2 of the Bear defenders got their hands on it.
Because, you know, every place Rodney Peete throws the ball, there's always been 2 or 3 Bear defenders. And again, like I said earlier, I think if the Eagles are going to go anywhere in the playoffs, they're in the playoffs. But if they're going to go, they cannot be one-dimensional. They cannot just be a running team. And what the Bears did, they took away the run, and they made Rodney Peete beat them today.
A minute left. Rodney Peete back to throw it. Carpenter doesn't get a first down quite. Does get out of bounds to stop the clock. Looks like he might be about a yard shy of the first down.
This is a tough situation here because now you know, not having any timeouts, you would like to run the ball. If you had timeouts, you would run the ball on 4th down here just to get the first down. Now, the Eagles may do that anyway and then spike it after they get a first down.
With a 3-man front, they probably will. Pete sneaks, and he got the first down.
Yeah, that would have been a lot better with a timeout. Now they have to get up, like Ray Rhodes is saying, get up and spike it.
And the clock's still running. And exactly as you orchestrated.
Well, now they can get back and, you know, and get in the huddle, and they can call their play and do all those things because, again, they have to think of scoring a touchdown. It's not being 6 points down. A field goal isn't going to do it for them. So they're going to have to get moving quickly here. I mean, they're going to have to throw a couple passes in that 20, 25-yard range. They can't take those 5-yard passes anymore.
41 seconds left. The Eagles at their own 38-yard line. Again, the Bears in a 3-man front. And Pete steps up and lobs it out to Ricky Waters, who runs out of bounds after a gain of only a couple of yards.
Yeah, and that's just what they can't do. And they have to get more guys deep. They only had 1 deep receiver on that pattern. And then, of course, the Bears had like 5 guys deep with them. So he had to dump off the ball to Ricky Waters. I think you have to get some guys deep, but you have to get at least 3 deep. One up each side and 1 in the middle.
And now it's 3rd down. They had to spike it. Then the pass to Waters was complete. He got out of bounds, but it was only for a couple of yards. And Pete back to throw. Spellman hit him just as he cocked his arm. 3rd time today for Alonzo Spellman.
Spellman has had as big a pass rush day as I've ever seen him. Maybe it's Anton Davis. You're going to see it's only a 3-man line, like you say, so Spellman should be doubled. In fact, he is doubled. You have the tackle and the guard, and he beats both of them. He beats Davis and Boatswain to get to Rodney Peete.
It's his 4th down. Peete gets it to Carpenter, who gets out of bounds. Now let's see where they spot it. He's saying one place with 1 ball. The official says keep the clock running.
Well, they better get out.
And they don't make the first down, he said. Or did they?
I don't know. They don't have the change down there because it's not where the foot goes out of bounds. It's where the ball is when the foot goes out of bounds.
I think they made the first down.
Well, players are running off the field.
Fans are all over the field.
What they have to do is they have to take an official's timeout to move the chains if it is a first down.
Well, they're still in a big huddle. Dave Wannstedt thinks the game is over.
Ray Rhodes looks like he thinks it's over now, too, and I think the officials have told him the game is over. Yep, when they do that, it is over.
They're the 2 guys who were teammates in Detroit. Eric Kramer is the Miller Lite player of the game. Deservedly so.
Yep, he was almost picture perfect throwing the ball, and even when he wasn't.
Dallas has clinched the NFC Eastern Championship. So for John Madden, I'm Pat Summerall saying so long from Soldier Field, where the final score was the Bears 20, the Eagles 14. Be sure to stay tuned for the NASDAQ postgame report. James Brown, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Jimmy Johnson will be along from our Hollywood studio. You've been watching Fox Sports coverage of the National Football League.